Hi, this is Jeff and this is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north, and I feel like it's turning into the Weather Channel because today it's 7 degrees, but surprisingly, let me just turn a fan off. It's, well, not unsurprisingly I should say, it's quite bright, it's sunny, but then it's one of those days where it's really blustery. And we've had quite a few really heavy rain showers this morning already, and it's only 10 to 10 in the morning, so I don't think I'm going to go gardening today. It is quite cold, and it's certainly very, very wet, so it looks like a day in the greenhouse, which is great for me. What I wanted to talk about, oh, by the way, carry on with my weather forecast. It did go down to 1 degree last night, so no doubt that's cost me a little bit of money last night, heating the greenhouse. I've just made a couple of videos outside, and even though I've got my thermals on under here, ready for a day outside at work, but it's cold. It's one of those finger-numbing cold days. And I also, when your fingers get numb, you know it's time to come in. So what I wanted to talk to you today is I want to do like an introduction. I know I've got one or two orchid people who are only into their orchids, but just to kind of give an introduction into some carnivorous plants, because I'm fascinated by these things, and I just wanted to kind of demonstrate my fascination and perhaps pass on a little bit of that enthusiasm for them and see if anybody can be converted, as it were. So I'm just going to flip you around, and I'm going to show you what I've got. Okay, so if we come over here, now this is my pride and joy. Now this one, I think what I'll do, I'll just back up a little bit and I'll get a spotlight so we can show it up a little bit. That's not a very bright spotlight. So this is a Nepenthes, just see it there, a Nepenthes pitcher plant. Now Nepenthes pitcher plants come from Okay, we're back. Apologies for that interruption. So, these plants come from around Southeast Asia area. Most of them, not all of them. And by the way, this is only going to be an introduction. This is not going to be like loads and loads of detail, because I don't know a great deal about them. I'm only kind of starting my collection. Brad's your guy to go to. Brad's greenhouse, definitely the guy to go to for Nepenthes pitcher plants and carnivorous plants in general. So Southeast Asia, so we're talking like Borneo, Philippines, some in India, Madagascar, those kind of areas, and most of them come from more highland areas. I believe only about 30% come from the lowland areas. So the highlanders are used to, again, it's your cloud forests, it's your heavy rain, it's your high humidity, very wet ground, which gives you an idea of how to look after them really. They do like to stay pretty damp, even though, and we always come back to this, they like the water to drain through. They don't like to sit in water. So they are a vine, they're a climbing vine, and you can see how this one has begun to climb its way up here. And the fascinating thing for me anyway is, and I've just found my torch here. I've looked at these things over and over, and no matter how many times I look at them, I just cannot get over that fascination for what's evolved here over millions of years. You can see here, I'll have to put my torch down a second. What you've basically got is a leaf, and then at the end of the leaf there's this long tendril, with a little loop in it, which can help to hook onto things. And then the very end of the leaf, we've got this incredible structure which serves as a trap to entice and trap whatever it is it eats. There are some, I believe, that even eat rats. Would you believe? It'd have to be very big pictures. So what we've got here, you can see glistening. That's not because I've watered it. The plant produces that. It's like a sticky sap. It's like nectar, and it entices the animals. And I've seen this happen even here. You know, the insects come and they feed from that, and you get more of it up towards the peristome, which is that coloured lip that goes all around the opening to the hole. And there's a lot on the lid as well, which is sticking up there over the top. The lid never closes, it stays like that. And I've seen insects, you know, they crawl onto that, they suck a bit more of the nectar, and eventually they get to the peristome, which is incredibly slippy, and even the back wall of the picture there, which is very slippy, and in they go. And inside, I don't think I can film inside this actually. Can we get over the top? Not really. Inside there is a liquid which goes about a third of the way up the picture. Now, I've not put that in there. The plant produces its own liquid in there, which are digestive juices, which obviously digest whatever falls in there. But the fascinating thing, I mean, if you can kind of picture evolution, or this plant through evolution, and go back however millions of years when it first started to appear on the planet, and you've got a leaf. You know, every leaf has the potential to produce a picture. They don't all fully turn into pictures, but you can imagine, and this is what I imagine anyway, a leaf where at the end of the leaf it perhaps curled up a little bit like that. You know, some genetic fluke for one particular plant, and that collected some water in it, some rainwater, and then that particular plant perhaps outcompeted some of its neighbours. Why? Well, because it had more nutrients in it. It received more nutrients because of this genetic modification. So it then passed that on to you know, its progeny, and the next generation also had this you know, little hole at the end, or little cupping at the end. And you can kind of imagine that happening over generation, until we end up with what we've got here, this incredible, marvellously complicated but simple structure on the end, which does the job perfectly. And I think that's just an amazing, incredible thing to think about, and to try and picture how long that something like that must have taken. Well, I'm astounded by it, and that's partly, this is why I'm so fascinated with them. I think they look cool as well, and there's some, you know, really nice, attractive ones. There's such a huge variety, not just in the species, but in the hybrids. They hybridize very, very easily. So I'll show you some of the others that I've got. I'll just swing you around a bit. They are quite expensive to buy, certainly a sizable plant. Obviously, if you live in a country where they grow naturally anyway, then it's going to be a lot cheaper. But here, over in the UK, they are quite expensive. So what I've done is I've bought the small ones. This one is quite a recent purchase. This is Nepenthes Ventrata. and what you find is the young pictures look quite different to the old pictures. You can just actually see, you can see the liquid, like the shadow of the liquid through there. Again, I've not put that in, the plant does it itself. This one doesn't seem to be quite as sticky as the others, the one I showed you before. The one before was Nepenthes Rebecca Soper. This one is Nepenthes Ventrata. Apparently it's a very vigorous cross, so I bought this one with the hopes that it would grow very quickly. This one is Ventricosa. You know, don't think that what you can see here in the pictures is what they end up like when they're mature. It can look very, very different and very oh crikey, keep getting interrupted this morning. So what I was saying was, the pictures that you see here, they're not like that when they're mature. They can be a lot more colourful when they're mature, and they're also different depending on where they are on the plant. The basal, the lower pictures, can look very, very different to the upper pictures. Again, if you go head across to Brad, you'll see that he can show you, you know, some much more mature plants than what I've got, and he can show you the upper and the lower pictures. A couple more over here. We've got, what's this one? Fusca, Nepenthes Fusca, which is, even though it's small, it's quite attractive. And another one over here, this is my latest one, Hookeriana. And this one, I believe, is a Lowland Nepenthes. I said 30% of Nepenthes are Lowland ones, the rest are Highland ones. So this really shouldn't thrive in my conditions, because my conditions are more in line with a Highland. But you know, sometimes these plants can be more resilient than you think, so it's worth a try. So far it's not showing any signs of distress, so we'll see, we'll keep an eye on it. So what else can I tell you? So we've talked about the peristome, the tendril down here, the lid at the top. This thing here is known as the ladder. There is another name for it, which I can't remember. Ladder, I guess, because it's useful for creatures to crawl up, scramble up as they go towards their death. So yeah, I did have another large Nepenthes. I'm just going to show you another one here. This is another Rebecca Soper, if I can avoid the dendrobium there. This one's got some basal shoots at the bottom there coming out. That's all come this year. The basal ones, apparently, for some reason, little picture there on the end, are easier. They picture more easily than the higher up stems. This one was attached to the other plants that I showed you before, and I split them off, and so now I've got two going up there. And this one, you can see it's hooked on to the wire there, and pulling itself up. But this one hasn't produced any proper pictures yet, only that little tiny one at the bottom. It may well be because it's too shady in this corner. Little lighter over in this corner, and we get some more pictures there. Yeah, what else was I going to say? I'll just swing around again, apologies. This Ventricosa, I had that over in the shady area, and it really didn't grow that quickly. I've had this probably about, I don't know, 15 months, and about a month ago I was reading up about them, and it said that they do actually like highlight. Again, not direct sunlight, because the leaves redden when you get direct sunlight, and they really don't like that, and I don't like it either. I like the green, I like the leaves to be green, and since I moved it, it's come on, it's like really started to, you know, it's shot up, it's started to make a big move towards growth. It's got a cute little one there coming at the bottom as well. Tiny little one there, about C. I also discovered that by putting them up on the stones like that, even though they like to be wet, they do like to drain through, like most things, so that also helped. They don't like to dry out though, not, you know, if we touch the soil and it's dry, then the bottom leaves start to crisp up pretty quickly. Just want to show you this one so you can see this one, nice new green leaves. This was when it was in the sun, and once it's gone red like that, it won't go back again. And eventually they crisp and fall like that, and I usually cut those off because they do kind of hang on for a while. You don't really need to feed them. I have heard that you can give them a spray with something, but they catch their own food, you know, unless you've got them in a place like in the house where they're not going to get anything. Then you might want to drop an Osmocote pellet into there. I've heard people putting fish food in, but really the best thing is if you can catch a bug and stick a bug in there. A good source of information, this book, Savage Garden, Peter D'Amato. I found that really useful. But it shows you all sorts of carnivorous plants. So I said today was like an intro into carnivorous plants. So that's the Nepenthes. I've also got these. Now this is a sundew. I'll just pick it up. It's wet. It's a bog plant, and you can see I've got it in a tray of water. It always likes to be wet, and you only really get the full effect of this when you put it up towards the light, and you can, I don't know if you can see that. There you go. And you get to see the drops of dew on the end. Now I think because it's not sunny, it's not really the right time of year. It's not got a lot of dew on it, that one. Now another one over here. This one's probably a little bit easy. This is a tray of mixed seedlings, and you can see the dew on there quite clearly, can't you? These really want pricking out. I'm just waiting for some to get a little bit bigger, because there are various types in here. You can see some with like the pad on the end. Some are quite circular. I think they're rotundifolia. Some are a little bit longer. So the insect obviously comes along. It's not going to catch anything big here, obviously. You can see the size of my finger to it. They are very small plants. And then they roll up. They catch it on the end. They stick on that sticky dew on the end, and they roll up like that. Not quickly. The insect gets stuck. They roll up and they digest. You can see a few of them have done that, rolled up. They digest the insect, which I think is pretty cool. And finally, I just want to show you this. This is Cephalotus. This is from Australia. Now, tell me that's not as attractive as any flower, because I think that is wonderful. Just look at the colours in these little traps. Absolutely fascinating. And this has grown really well this year. It grew a lot of leaves at first, and I thought, how come I've got all these leaves and no traps? But apparently it produces leaves, and then it produces the traps. So they start off little tiny things, and then they just grow and grow and grow, and you've got all those lovely colours, the pale greens, the creams, the reds, the oranges. This one's got a very hairy ladder running up the centre, a very toothy peristome, and if you look inside the peristome, can you see the teeth, how they kind of hook over? So if you was an insect in there and you was trying to crawl out, well, first of all, it's very slippy anyway, but secondly, you wouldn't get past those teeth overhanging there. Dead easy to look after. Don't do anything with it other than leave it in this tray of water. I let the water dry occasionally, because apparently they can rot if you're not careful. So I'll let the water run down, leave it dry for a day, and then I top it up again, and then that does the trick. And I'm just glancing inside of that one again. I don't know if you can see the colours inside, and it's got its own liquid in it again. And some of them have insects in that have come into the greenhouse and met their fate in a Cephalotus. So that's just a few, just a little mini introduction really into some carnivorous plants, and I am hoping to get a lot more. I'm highly inspired by the plants hanging from Brad's roof, so I want to try and replicate that in my own way. I want a lot more Nepenthes. There are some other really cool carnivorous plants that I don't have yet. I've not got some pinguiculars, easy for me to say, pinguiculars. Once I get them, I'm sure I'll learn how to say it. There's some others that I'm quite interested in. I showed you the other day the temperate ones, the Sarracenias and the Venus flytraps, which are outside. But it's more the tropical ones really that I like. There are some Heliamphoras which are absolutely gorgeous, so that's something else I'd like to get. There are one or two others, not huge things. I think the Nepenthes are the biggest really, and it's just, they're expensive, even more expensive than orchids, unless you get the small ones. And then of course if you get the small ones, then you're waiting a good while to get anything worthwhile looking at. So yeah, that's a very quick, brief introduction, not going into too much detail there, but I hope that if you've never seen these things before, or you was curious about what they look like and why I in particular found them fascinating, then hopefully I've passed a little bit of that fascination on to you, and that might be something you might consider growing in future. So if anybody is from the UK and can think of or knows of a good supplier that doesn't cost the earth. I mean, I've seen these things, I've seen plants, like, I don't know, less than a foot high, costing up to like £75, £120. I mean, that's just too much for me. I'm not taking that risk on a plant that I might kill. So yeah, that's carnivorous plants, and I'm hoping to do a few more videos on those as they grow, and you can see how they develop in the tropical greenhouse. Okay, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. And if you've got any comments to make, please do make them below, and otherwise I'll see you next time. Bye.